All right, so the secret to nonprofit success. I am Cheryl Smith, and I am the CEO for Doolin Nonprofit Services and the Community Heroes Program. I'm based in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's northwest of Atlanta, and we support nonprofit organizations anywhere, just anywhere, all over the country. I don't think there's a state we're not in where we've not offered some sort of support. I've been in the industry for over 25 years. And in that time, I have served in just about every capacity from entry level through management, director, executive director, board chair. I've done a lot. And so it is really my mission in life and professionally to be able to give back and help the next person or organization get to where they need to be so that you're supporting your community in the way you've always imagined. So, Doolin is only 7 years young, but I've been around for a little while, so I know a little. I don't know it all, and I promise to tell you when I don't. Okay, so no, so nice to have you here with me today. All righty, and so our discussion, we're going to talk about these patterns. We're going to talk about the great nonprofits and the 5 things that they all have mastered. Like they do these things so well, and I want you all to know about them. So we're going to talk about having a clear purpose, building capacity, having a plan, investing in your growth, and then being compliant. These are the 5, right? Okay, so let's start off with some of these large nonprofits, the top charities in our world. They bring in billions of dollars of mission aligned money, dollars, okay, every year, where they're not paying income taxes on this money. They're not paying income taxes because they've mastered those 5 things. They are compliant, and this is mission aligned work. And so they didn't decide to be the top. They didn't. They decided to support their community somehow. And becoming the top organization came later. But they started just where you guys are right now. I can imagine if you're here and you are in your inaugural year or you're relatively new nonprofit, they had humble beginnings too. The YMCA, they started as actually, they didn't even start as a Christian association, but it was a group of men who saw a lot of children during the Industrial Revolution out in the streets, just getting into all kinds of mayhem, right? And they thought, what if we got these kids to come in to spend time with us doing some wholesome activities, learning about God in exchange for their life on the street, right? That's how the YMCA started. They didn't come over to the United States to just before or just after the turn of the century, the 19th century or the 20th century. So it's been a long ride for them, but they started with just altruistically wanting to change a trajectory for the young kids in their community. So they started there. The Salvation Army, I think William Booth's story is one of my favorites. If you ever talk to me like one on one, I've probably shared this story with you. And so this gentleman was bringing people from the street into the church. He just wanted to make sure that people who were not well off, people who were homeless, were able to come in to the church, learn about Jesus, right? Get some food and clothing. And he did this on a regular basis until the church said, we don't want those kind of people. There's too many of them. We didn't expect this. We wanted to help, but not like that. And he first thought, what do you mean those people? Right? And so he ended up starting, he left that church and ended up starting what we now know is the Salvation Army, but they didn't become the Salvation Army for almost a decade. They had 1,000 volunteers, and somebody said, wow, we've got 1,000 volunteers just coming in, helping us bring people off the street, feeding them, making sure they learn about God. And they thought, wow, we're going to change our name. And they changed their name to the Salvation Army. They operated years without having any employees, you all. None. They literally were volunteers. I love that story so much. The United Way, a woman, a priest, 2 ministers, and a rabbi. Sounds like the beginning of a joke, right? But they came together because these folks thought, we could probably help our community if we helped other agencies help the community, right? So economy of scale, let's just all pour in and then put that help out into the community massively through other organizations. And then the last is Feeding America, which is one of our largest in our world. And they began just because there was somebody that was volunteering at a local soup kitchen and a woman passed by and said, it would be a shame to continue to waste this food because she was scavenging for her family to eat behind this, soup kitchen and these restaurants that were throwing out food. And that idea was born from that woman who said, wouldn't it be great if, you all were to gather the food that you didn't want so that you can give it to the people who need it. And here we are. They changed their name in the mid 60s to Feeding America when they merged with other nonprofits, but they're now one of the largest in our world, definitely our country. And what I want you all to know is that it's not by accident. They had a heart for service, but then they got themselves a plan, right? And that's the reason they've been able to sustain themselves all this time. And we have some modern day amazing organizations too, all over our country, all over. We have almost 2 million nonprofits in the US that are registered with the IRS. That doesn't include the ones that haven't registered yet. And there's about 6,000 new organizations that's being established and registered with the IRS every single month, every month. And I've got Helping Mamas on my screen because they're out of Georgia. They started in 2014, and you can see that in 2014 they brought in $12,518. I love telling their story because in their first year, they didn't bring that in one check. I talk to so many organizations now and they go, not applying for 10,000 or 20,000. I need $500,000. But this organization, they understood how to plan and leverage. And they brought in 500 here, 1,000 there. And at the end of the first year, it totaled $12,518. And if they have a great story, you can look them up on the IRS website if you want to verify some of this information because it is unbelievable. Year two, they leveraged that $12,000 and brought in over 121,000. They were able to share with funders, this is what we're doing. We are a baby supply bank, and this is how we're helping mamas, right? Mamas helping mamas. And they brought in that 121 in year two. They doubled that in year three. Then they in year four brought in 368,000 or over. 2018, they were bringing over 500,000. 2019, 750,000 almost. 2020, almost 2 million. And 2021 ease back to where they probably are. Well, I haven't seen their 2023 yet, but they brought in 1.6 million. And they started a short period ago. So we're not talking about an organization that started at the turn of the century. Now we're talking about in our timeline, this is still being done where organizations are understanding how to take that passionate mission that they have and turn that into a plan for forever sustainability, perpetual sustainability. You all can do the same. Right in Florida, Camilla's House, they were established in 1960, and their fundamental purpose is to make sure that there is no homelessness, right? And they have done an amazing job at that. In 2017, they brought in 13 million, and then they over doubled that in 2021. I haven't seen their 2023 yet. It should be coming out soon. And so there are amazing organizations out there, and I wanted you to know about them. But I really want you to know about you. I want you to know about you. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain you simply enough, then you don't understand it. I love his quote. And so our conversation is going to start with your clear purpose. You, what are you doing? What are you doing to move the needle? Get yourself lined up for success, forever success. What are you doing? So let's talk about your clear purpose. So we're going to get into the planning phase now. So if you can definitely take screenshots. I know you're going to get a copy of the recording, or you'll be able to go back and listen to the replay. I know that's going to happen, but please take screenshots, bring your notepads out, because now we're going to get into some plans, right? And so clear purpose. Who are you? Do you understand your own why? And many of you are probably thinking, of course I do, and that's why I'm here. I understand what I'm doing. I now need to do that on a different level to bring in this success. But I want you to step back so you can leap forward. Step back. What is your why? Do you have a clear mission? Do you know who you serve? Evaluate that for yourselves, your organizations. What is this, Thursday? Take time out this weekend and really evaluate these three things. The gap in services. Is there a gap? Or is it just something you want to do? because that makes a big difference. If you have decided to do something in the way of service to help your community, have you already verified that nobody else out there is doing the very same thing on the next corner? Are you unique? All right. And so, how do you know that? Have you done your SWOT analysis and your feasibility study? And so, if you are here because you've already started your organization, we're going to get you to the next level. But if you're here today because you're considering starting a nonprofit, give this consideration. Because if you see a gap, perfect. But if there's already somebody out there doing it, you've got to be able to defend why you're needed. And you do that by a SWOT analysis where you're looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And here's the thing, if you figure out that what you want to do is already being done, join them. Join them so that we don't continue to divide money, right? We conquer together. So join them. Many people don't realize that when you join an organization on a board, you become a part of the governing body with an equal vote. So join them, right? So, but if you do fill that gap in service, what's your mission? Do you know what you're really after? Not just the activities that you want to do, but what is your direction? Your mission's supposed to be your guiding star. It's supposed to be that one concise statement that tells the world why you exist, right? In one statement. If you've got a mission statement that has run-on sentences, just going into fine detail about many things, then you're describing your program. You are not describing a mission. Mission statements on average are only 20 words. TED, Technology, Entertainment, and Design is what they stand for. Their mission statements, 2 words, spreading ideas. Now they don't go into we spread ideas from TED Talks, TED conferences, they do all kinds of things, TEDx, TED Books, TED Fellows. I think it's TED everything, but they don't need to say that. They spread ideas. That's their mission, right? The Humane Society, they celebrate animals, they appreciate animals, and they confront cruelty. And then all of the things they do behind that, that's their program description. But their guiding star, so they don't get off track, is we exist to protect and love animals, right? And so look at your mission statement to ensure that you're in alignment with what's common. And here's the reason. I know you're probably special in a good way. But the thing is when you go to apply for funding, see, I'm always wearing that grant writer's hat. When you apply for funding, many funders can tell very quickly from your mission statement whether or not you're the right candidate. They can tell whether or not you're ready. And so make sure that even if you're not ready, that they can't tell it, get yourself a refined mission statement. Your target population is another thing. And so you guys probably have these amazing big hearts. I know you do because I talk to you all day long, every day. And you got these hearts that you just want to help everybody. There's so many potential people that you can help. If they just gave you a call, you're on it. But when you start to look at some of the largest organizations out there, and I mentioned the Salvation Army, that they didn't even have paid staff for like years and years. They did one thing until they did that thing so well that it just made sense to expand. But in the beginning, they did the one thing. Are you doing the one thing for the folks that's really closest to the need for your organization, right? So there's secondary people, and those are people who might occasionally use your service. So if you're going to be alleviating homelessness, you go down to the unemployment office. They may occasionally need you, but everybody that's at the unemployment office might not be homeless, right? They might occasionally. That's your secondary population. We're looking for you to identify the primary folks that's going to be served by your organization. And chances are they're already within your reach, in your backyard. So many organizations will eventually be global, right? Eventually. And they want to start off out the gate saying that they support every person in every neighborhood of the entire planet. 8 billion people, that's a lot. And so funders won't do that, and they don't want you to do that. So they're looking for you to understand who you are and who exactly you serve. And so the greatest and the largest organizations know that, right? They know that. Yeah. So hoping that makes sense. I'm going to keep moving unless Mary stops me. So we're going to go into the second thing that the greatest nonprofits understand, and that's how to build capacity. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. That's an African proverb. And so building capacity. So some of these very large organizations, they understand how to build their internal capacity and their external capacity and how to leverage those individuals to get them ahead, to get to the next step, right? And so when we talk about building capacity, that's what it is, internal and external. So who's the internal capacity? Well, first and foremost, that's your board. So your board composition matters. In the beginning, I imagine you've got people that you, and I say this all the time, that you know, you like, and you trust, right? But as you start to grow, especially after your first year, you want to take inventory on who is on the team, and then more importantly, who's missing. Who do we need to bring into the team so that we are well-rounded enough to execute this mission? And you don't want dead weight. And sometimes we think, well, dead weight's better than no weight. I get it. I've been there. I promise you. But sometimes it isn't. Alrighty. When I used to be a board chair, one of the toughest things that I would face is having people on our roster that didn't show up, and then we couldn't actually move forward because we didn't have a quorum to be able to have a vote. I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but it is a real thing. I'd much rather you have people on your board who are willing to show up and work and roll up their sleeves, and even if it just means lending their mental capacity to help you think things through and move things forward. You need people to show up. You need people who are willing to raise funds, people that can hold you accountable, people that represent the community. Having your board come into trainings like this, well, this one's more of a presentation, but we do board roles and responsibilities through Jacksonville and other SCORE chapters. Bringing them in so they understand what the board's roles are is going to help you retain them. So your job as a board member, if you're on today, is to set the organization's direction and to ensure that you've got the necessary resources, and then obviously providing oversight. And the necessary resources, I don't mean to skim over that too quickly. That might mean bringing in the right folks in the community, networking, but it might also mean you digging into your own pocket and financially supporting the organization. As a board member, you've got the duty of care, loyalty, and obedience. Care, you're going to treat the organization like any prudent person, like you're going to take care of it. Loyalty, you're not going to put yourself above that organization and get into conflicts that can harm the organization. Obedience, you're going to understand the rules and you're going to follow them for the organization so the organization remains vibrant and compliant. And so as a board member, you've got those responsibilities. That's part of your internal team. The other part of your internal team, and we're going to assume staff. We know that eventually, if you don't already, you're going to have staff, but your volunteers, understanding how to bring them in. We've got a volunteer, how to recruit and retain volunteer training. It may be on the website for one of the SCORE chapters, but we do train on that. But your volunteers, making sure that they have an application, the background check, the volunteer agreement, that you've got the things in place that's going to contribute to their loyalty, right, and their tenure. So they don't just come in and you never see them again. When you train them, there's background check and you've got an agreement, believe it or not, that's going to add to their longevity, right? And so that's your internal team. So now, the largest organizations, you're not going to go to a large organization and ask them about volunteers and they tell you we have none. See, I hear that a lot from the smaller organizations. You won't hear that from the larger organizations. And so we're talking about the plan for sustainability, having that internal team and board members, not trying to operate with just you because you want to be in control. Yeah, I got close to the microphone for that one. And so making sure you've got others involved in this amazing mission that is designed to outlive you, bringing in volunteers and setting up a process so they want to stay with you. And then getting out there in the community and making sure that you are making friends, because these friends are going to help you move along faster. So many times, actually almost every week, I'll get in my inbox where somebody has said, I just found out about this amazing opportunity. Did you hear about this, Cheryl? Or did you hear about that? Because these opportunities are not going to always be in databases. Sometimes you're going to hear about these opportunities in your meetings with your partners, in the community meetings. And so do attend them, find them. Even if you've got to go online and go to those where they call meetups for nonprofit, find other nonprofits in your area and you start to mix, mingle, and network with them so that you can uncover opportunities for growth and success and funding, right, from these partners. Formalize those relationships and make them official. Make sure you've got the memorandum of understanding. These are the kind of things large organizations already know. You're not going to go and support CARE or Feeding America formally and not have an MOU, right? They understand that they need those processes in place. As a small organization, there's no reason that you don't have those things in place too. Get yourself a good memorandum of understanding, MOU. You can Google online. You can go to OpenAI, ChatGPT. Have ChatGPT create an MOU for you. No excuses anymore with AI to not have what you need, or at least the resources to start developing what you need. Get those things in place. The largest organizations know how to compete. Want to make sure that you do too. All righty. And so external capacity also means, so we talked about people and organizations, but that also means just resources. There's such a thing as good free. Now, there's low cost things you'll invest into, but there's also good free. Public service announcements, Google for nonprofits that'll send traffic your way when you sign up. MailChimp, these are those e-blast organization companies that will allow nonprofits either to send e-blast up to like 1,000, 2,000 people a month for free or very low cost. 48 and 48, for those of you all who don't know what that is, they create websites for public charities for free. Your public library pro bono partnerships, those are attorneys that dedicate their time for free. There's SCORE for mentoring and workshops. There are so many opportunities and resources out there. Use yours. And we're going to talk about planning, but use the resources that are out there. Okay. We're going to talk now about planning. It all really comes down to planning. You can't do this by accident. You can't, not long term. And so Earl Nightingale once said, people with goals succeed because they know where they're going. And the greatest nonprofits plan. They do. Oh my goodness. Every single year, there are planning documents. Every couple of years, there are strategic plans. And so, do you have a plan, right? And you're going to need a plan if you want to capture some of this money that's out there. And there's a lot of it. Oh my goodness. I get really tired of hearing people say, there's a shortage, there's no money. No, it's not. There's a lot of money, and they're creating new dollars every single day. What are we doing to actually get the money, capitalize on it, and not leave money on the table? See, I think closer to the truth is that there's a lot of money out there, but people either don't know how to go after and pursue it, or they're not doing it at all. They're not even trying. But in 2022, there's a half a trillion, excuse me, yeah, almost $500 billion were given to the nonprofit community through charitable giving, and that's just the dollars that were registered, earmarked, and accounted for. There's so much more money floating around out there. And this was an hour. We're going to spend about an hour, maybe an hour 15 together. I don't think we'll even need to go 15, but in about an hour, right? I want to share with you how much money is passed through nonprofit hands in about an hour. So about 9 billion every week, about 1 billion every day, and about $57 million every single hour. So just the hour we're going to spend together, nonprofits across our country are receiving charitable dollars, right? Charitable dollars every single day, every single minute. Money is passing through hands. And so I want you to get prepared to get some of that money, because if you're not preparing for it, you're leaving it on the table. All right. So the money is out there. Now, how do you prepare for it? I say plan. Look at my closet here, and you can see on the left-hand side, lots of things going on. It's a closet. It's a mess. You can barely figure out, like, what's what. On the right side, that's the same amount of items, but they're organized. And when I think about a nonprofit, especially the ones I tend to work with sometimes, they're wonderful. But when I first meet them, They tend to look like the left side where you've got some great things in your closet. It's just not organized enough for people to understand what it is you do. And so that's what planning helps you to do. It helps you to get yourself organized. So business planning, strategic planning, fundraising plan, grant proposal. These are the kinds of documents that you want to have to bring your processes in line so that you can start to further your mission. And so these planning documents, I'm often asked the difference, and I'm sure on this workshop, somebody's going to ask me, so I'm going to refer you back to this slide. So your business plan, we're familiar with that because we're familiar with businesses. You know, we have more businesses than we do nonprofits in our country. So everybody pretty much knows or heard of a business plan, this big comprehensive document that covers everything, strategic planning, your financing, you know, all the products and services, how are you going to develop them, everything. SWOT analysis is included. The primary purpose for most business plans is to attract investors, secure loans. And if you don't want those things, it's usually just for you to understand what's going on within your closet. Okay, that's your business plan. Your strategic plan, which is what we tend to do a lot here on my end, this is a high level outline. So it is not going to be in the weeds. It's very high level. It looks at your organization and what you want to accomplish in a short period of time. And normally it's going to look at 3 categories: where you need to be funding wise, where you want to be in terms of the trust within the community and those you serve, and then what you want to look like as an employer, somebody that employs somebody or brings in volunteers, right? And so your plan over the next 3 years is bringing in those 3 parts to figure out who you are in the future. And you've got a plan to identify and, you know, roadmap for that. That's your strategic plan. Fundraising plan. If you are a nonprofit, even if you're day one and you just received your determination letter, one of the things you do want to start to work on is your fundraising plan. Now, this is an outline too, but now this is more an outline of your goals and activities to secure funding. And it isn't just one thing, it's several things that you do within a timeline and a budget to be able to actualize additional funds. And this is your fundraising plan. And then there's the grant proposal. Now, many nonprofits literally just start right at grant proposal. I understand the reason behind that. Money is necessary. I get it. Some of these other documents are very useful to you, so don't sleep on the importance of them. But your proposal document, this is narrow in scope. You create a proposal to pursue money, period. That's what you created for. It is not designed to do the other things these documents I've got on my screen will do. This document is really for you to identify a program, what it's going to take to actualize it, how much it's going to cost, who's involved, and then you go after funding to support it. That's what you do with the grant proposal. So it's not supposed to be your business plan. It is definitely not your strategic plan. It has a singular purpose: pursue funding. That's what it does. And so these are the planning documents that if you're an organization, you might consider. I will be transparent. If you are a nonprofit, most nonprofit organizations will start with strategic plan and then they'll move over to fundraising and grant proposal. They don't all create business plans. I understand the importance of them and I'm not discouraging you from it. I'm just sharing that for the most part, I tend to see nonprofits start at strategy. But they're all wonderful documents, but you want to look at these documents and determine what's first. Create your planning document because the largest and greatest nonprofits, they already have them and they're not collecting dust on the shelf. They are living by these documents. They live and breathe by these documents. It is their guiding star. This is how they stay on track. Because if you don't have a plan, then it's really challenging to meet a goal that hasn't been written out and established, you know, with the process behind it. So this isn't by accident, success isn't. Now, when we talk about your income and sustainability, I just have to always talk about a little bit of money with you guys. There's so many things that you could do for that fundraising plan. I have only listed a few things here. I have done workshops with SCORE on 21 ways to fund a nonprofit, grant writing. So there's There are webinars out there with my name on it, and I am sure there are webinars with other instructors' name on it that will share with you how you can generate funding for your organization. But here we're going to talk about just a few. So obviously there's individuals who can donate to you. And by the way, I didn't mention this earlier. When you bring in volunteers, do you know that most volunteers will contribute to the organization they volunteer for? So there's donor centric, where you're going after individuals to contribute. There's bequest, and that's where people contribute after they pass away. Many people want to leave a legacy, and they're okay with planned giving. And bequests bring in about $47 billion every single year. So that's another thing that you could do to generate funds. Corporations, multiple levels there, because there are corporate sponsorships, there's corporate donations, and obviously there are corporate grants. And when it comes to grants, there's private foundation grants, there's corporation grants, and there's government, multi-level government from local, state, and federal levels where you can bring in grant funding. And then there's fee for services, something that you do amazingly well, right? There's something that you do, you're able to codify, duplicate yourself, and sell something, product, service, something that you do amazingly. And then obviously, we're all familiar with fundraising. Many nonprofits are familiar with fundraising because this is what you see all the time. You see the car washes, the bake sales, the fashion shows, things like that. And I'm not saying don't do them. I think they're amazing. Do the walkathons, do all those things, bring in money, but you also want to have a greater plan in addition to just bringing in the car wash money or crowdfunding. You want to do more than that. So income and sustainability, when you consider your fundraising plan, there is a really great website. They're called classy.org. There's a lot of websites out there. DonorBox is another, but I like Classy because Classy has there's one of their pages where it's 101 different fundraising ideas. Amazing. There's templates, free templates that you can download online. There's even templates to help you create your fundraising plan. And I'm spending a lot of time here because you've got to generate income. And if you are a new nonprofit, you might be nonprofit. That just means you're not profit sharing. It does not mean you do not bring in profit. You won't be solvent if you don't. So I need you to generate income. And if you're curious how to do that, we've got so many other trainings that do speak to that. This is more of our hodgepodge of everything that you do to get yourself ready for sustainability. All righty. And so grants, by the way, I get, grant writers. I get lots of people who will ask me, what's the grant win rates? I'll share with you, whether you hire a writer or not, even if you're applying on your own, which you absolutely can do, the win rates are low, but they're still there. So you can count on 15 to 20% is what you expect for a success rate for grants. So you're not going to win every grant you apply for, right? So you apply for 20, you may win maybe one, maybe, and that's really going to depend on how well you articulated what it is you need, what you do, and why you need it. Lots of competition there. And if you get like 30 to 40% win rate, that's amazing. It is. And I'm not talking about where you've already won funding, the funder's familiar with you, and all you have to do is reapply to get the money. I'm talking about funders that don't know you. They have not met you. All they have is your proposal that's in front of them. So win rates are low. But again, when I see 15 to 20%, I think, yes, I have an opportunity, and I'm not going to sleep on opportunities, and I don't want you to either. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our next area, which is investing in growth. And so Gandhi once said, you may never know the results of your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no results. And so the greatest nonprofits, they invest in growth, success activities. Success activities are some of the things we talked about. Building up your team, right? Even if you're doing it slowly, building your team, collaborating with others, for-profit, nonprofit, individuals in your community collaborating, because that's going to take you the furthest faster, right? Because there are inevitably going to be doors that wouldn't have opened if you didn't collaborate and know somebody, right? There is setting goals and then keeping them, developing your plan for revenue, save money wherever you can, but spend money whenever it's necessary. The thing I want you to know here is that, yeah, there's some really great free things, but sometimes it's going to call for you to invest. There are organizations that I get to talk to, like I said, so many of you, And we get to thinking that everybody should offer us their service for free because we're a nonprofit. Or this is what I get a lot. I'll get people who will contact me and they'll say, I have no money to invest in anything. I can't do any, I have no money, but I need XYZ. If you're a business owner, and you are, if you're a nonprofit, you are a business owner, then you've got to be ready to invest in yourself. You have to, or you should not be a business owner, even a nonprofit. You've got to spend something at some point because your attorney, they're expecting to get paid. Your accountant, they're expecting to get paid. Even when you applied for your tax determination, you couldn't tell the IRS that you didn't pay that processing fee. So get the good free when you can get it, but budget for those things where you really just need to spend. Because if you don't spend, then sometimes that's a real huge setback. I work with organizations who they'll bring in $5,000, $10,000, and they will immediately spend all of that money on programs. And I think, oh gosh, because if you don't reinvest in operations, your program's in. It's just like gas, right? The car is beautiful. You just bought it. It's great. But if you don't fill up, it's going to be right in your driveway. You're not going anywhere. And so sometimes it's going to call for you to go in to your pocket, fill up, and then that way you get to keep going. And I get to say that to you guys because I'm not here saying, use me, take. I'm here to say, be solvent, serve the community. I want you to be okay. So I'm going to tell you things that other people won't tell you because I need to tell you what's true. So sometimes you're going to have to invest in yourself. And then you guys, please start your program. Start your program. That's a success activity. A non-success activity is planning things to death where you never actually start because you're afraid to pull the trigger. You have no idea how it feels to serve your community if you never do it. You're great at planning, but if you never actually take the leap and start to serve that first person, you don't even know if your plan will work. Please don't be afraid. There are people waiting on you. Get out there and serve your community. And serving your community actually helps you to get funded. Yeah, because funders want to help you. They don't want to start you. They want to help you continue what you're doing. So do something. Give them, inspire them to want to help you, right? And so let's talk about something else. We talked about those success activities, but I need to mention these two. Oh my goodness. You're here to take care of the least, the last, and the lost, for the most part, right? Isn't that what we're really doing? Think about what you do every day. The least, the last, the lost. Somewhere in why you were born, you realize your contribution to society and how you can give back. And it's not a small thing. So don't take you for granted, but you've got to get yourself ready to do that, right? You've got to get ready to do that. And if you have at least one competitor, and you do, then you have a game. So I have a lot of organizations that'll tell me, well, I'm a nonprofit, so I don't really have competition. I'm not a business. Yes, you do. At the top of our conversation, I mentioned that there's 6,000 new nonprofits being established every single day. Don't doubt for 1 second they're not being established in your community too. You have a game. You have got to understand the rules. If you don't get a set of those rules, then you're not going to be able to play with success long term, right? This is a long-term game. So you have a competitor. You want to seek first to understand and then be understood. And so what I mean by that is, this is Stephen Covey, I love it, 7 Habits, is that you've got a game, understand the rules, and understand your role, your lane. See, oftentimes we want to be on all these different lanes, and I'm guilty of it too. I want to do everything for everybody all the time. But if I don't understand what I'm here to do, and I don't do that, to the very best of my ability, then I'm not going to further anything that I want to do. So I've got to first understand the game I'm in, understand my role in it, and then get out there and do it. Do the thing I came here to do. Engage in activities that further your mission. A lot of organizations are terminated every year because they're not engaging in success activities that are mission aligned. They're doing everything else. You're here to cultivate and inspire art. You got petting zoos and different things that have nothing to do with what you're here for because somebody needed you, right? And so engage in the activities that further your mission, especially if you're going to generate income, because only mission aligned income is tax deductible. The IRS does not agree to waive taxes for things that you earn income on that's not in alignment with your mission. And then the last thing is don't burn others with your light. Yeah, that one's hard for me to say because I believe in you, but sometimes we believe in ourselves to our detriment. Like we will have websites. This is a good example where every single page is a picture of you and about what you did. You. Did I tell you more about me? Enough about me. Did you want to know more about me? It's really not about you. When you decide to be a public charity, you don't own the nonprofit. It's about the cause. And funders care about the cause, and they don't necessarily care about you. You're a conduit. And so I say that twofold. One, don't make it about you, make it about the mission. The second thing there is understand that if you choose to share as your testimony to uplift other people. Just be careful in how you choose to do that so it doesn't make people shy away from wanting to be and receive help from you. You are here to take care of the least, the last, and the lost, and that means putting others first. And so take a look at how you're presenting the organization and making sure you're not presenting you, but you're presenting the organization and its cause. And that means by any means necessary, going after the funds and the resources that you need to further that cause. Make it about the cause, not yourself. So don't burn others with your light. Sorry, I just needed to say that because I see that so often. All righty. And so our last category, and this is something that these large organizations have mastered, you all, is compliancy. There's my picture of Marcus Aurelius. I just love, he was one of the last greatest Roman emperors. He said, if it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And so we spend so much time in the debate trying to be right. Just do the right thing, right? I love, love, love this quote. Doing the right thing is oversight, making sure that if the IRS says that you have an IRS 990 due every single year, do it. If the state that you're in that's governing the organization at the state level says that you've got compliance things annually, do that. Don't waste so much time trying to figure out how to get out of doing the thing you need to do to be absolutely above the board compliant. Don't waste time doing those things because they could really set you back and hurt the organization. And so some of the things I want to share with you for compliance reasons, if you haven't already heard this, is first and foremost, you are a corporation. Don't pierce the corporate veil. So that means you're not commingling money. The organization has its own bank account. You have your personal bank account. Don't use it like they're both yours. I see that so often. If your organization needs to spend money to do something, you give your organization a donation, deposit it into the organization's business account, and then allow the organization to spend its own money. You get a tax receipt for, donation receipt for what you've given, but more importantly, the organization's now able to build up their financial statements to be able to share with the funder that they are bringing in revenue and they're able to show they're fiscally responsible. Don't handicap your organization. Get a bank account for that organization, allow it to spend its own money. Even if you're paying the rent or you're paying for everything, I get it. Close to your climb here, I understand. Give the organization a clean, flat donation and allow it to spend its own money. Don't commingle the money. Hold regular board meetings. As a corporation, your state requires you to. But as an organization on the nonprofit side, it's a best practice to do that anyway. On average, nonprofits will hold a board meeting at least once a quarter. If you're super new, you might be holding your board meetings more frequently, but at least once a quarter. So holding those meetings, these are all a part of your corporate veil. Don't pierce it. Avoid private benefit and inurement, and that is where you're using the organization as your own personal business. It's not, you don't own it. And so I see that a lot where people will say, well, I've got a for-profit and I've got a nonprofit and they're going to work together. I get it. It happens all the time. But the nonprofit can't be and shouldn't be used to further the for-profit business. The other way around works fine, but the nonprofit can't be used that way. So or inurement, private benefit, is where you might have a nonprofit where you have trips where your organization takes kids, because I literally can't make this stuff up, takes kids to other countries to expose them so they can have that exposure. But only your kids get to go. That's private benefit. That's not okay. And so just making sure that there's no private benefit, you're not profit sharing. The organization has its money, it's spending its own money, right? Filing those annual returns, they're due 5.5 months after your fiscal year ends. So if your fiscal year end date is December the 31st, you're already past due for this year if you haven't filed, because that means that your IRS 990 was due May 15th. And so making sure you do it every year, because if you don't, you'll be dissolved. That's one of the number one reasons, by the way, that most organizations lose their tax exemption. It isn't for like fraud and all these other things that people might think. That's a myth. The number one reason is you fail to file your IRS 990, because many small nonprofits don't understand that even if you bring in $0, you still have to tell the IRS that every single year. And the IRS 990 postcard, you can't file that in arrears. So if you if you need to file for 2023, if you get out of this year, out of 2024, you will have missed the window. So if you haven't already done it, please go do it today so that you don't miss your window, right? And so that's a part of being compliant. And for the state compliance, pay the annual dues if your state has annual dues. Register for your state before you solicit donations. Most states require that you register. If you're going to solicit donations in other states, make sure what their charitable registration laws are too, so that you're registered. See, the largest organizations that want to solicit in every state, they're registered in every state so that they don't get into compliance, issues. And so these are some of the things that the largest organizations do. I say all the time, you guys, I say all the time that success is not a mistake. It's not a haphazard thing, not long-term success. And here Napoleon Hill, and I love his book, Think and Grow Rich, he says, success comes to those who become success conscious. Do the things that you need to do to bring success long-term to your organization.